Good afternoon, good afternoon. Hello, hello. Welcome to those who are joining us this afternoon for Mobility Magic. Changed the camera angle slightly. I found this is a little bit better for the light, so hopefully you can join in. And if you're not and you sat on the couch and just watching along, or want to jump in and watch later, happy Boxing Day to you too. These will be posted up on the Instagram channel for you to review later as well. So you can review yesterday's session, you can review today's, and there is another session at 11:30 on Monday, so you can join us then as well. Hello to everyone. Just going to give it about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to switch off the comments because I get really distracted. But if you have any feedback, if there's anything you'd like to see going forward in the mobility sessions, then you can leave a comment on the page and send me a direct message, Fascial Stretch Simon, and we'll try and include that information or that content for you within the mobility session. So just going to turn off the comments. Obviously love to see everyone, and hopefully as many people as possible join in, but I'm just going to turn off the comments. Now, we're going to start today on the floor. We're going to start in our ground position. We're going to work on the hips today. Yesterday we did a little bit of shoulder, chest, and back. Today we're just going to do some hip work. Everyone's been sat down a lot for the last day and a half, maybe longer. So we're going to do a little bit of work on opening up those hips, which is our classic sequence, which we like to do. So just going to grab a space on the floor. We're going to go about shoulder width apart. Again, this angle works really well to show you kind of what's happening with the stretch. And we're just going to see where we're at. So if you've been sat a lot, like I mean, I've been sat a bit, not too much, but if you've been sat a little bit more than usual, let's say, then you're probably going to feel a little bit of tension in the hips, a little bit tightness around the top. So we're going to loosen that up. So we're going to start with our hip rotations, internal, external, just see what's going on. If you feel any tension in the hips, let's go on and let's work on our right hip first. So we're going to do about a 90, probably less than 90-90. We're borrowing this again from the stretch wave sequence from Stretch to Win. We are going to have our chest right over our knee, and what we're going to do is replace both of our hands at either side of the knee. So our intention with this stretch is to stretch our spine, so we're stretching upwards. Nice tall position. We're going to take a nice deep breath in, and we're going to wave over that front leg as we breathe out. So we're taking a nice deep breath in. We roll back. So we're always rolling back and up across our chest. So head's coming down. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Rocking back. And we're going to do about 5 or 6 of those in that wave-like fashion as we breathe in. We stretch out. Chin comes down. Chin comes across our chest. And we're probably going to notice as we do this that we get a stretch across our hip, a little bit of our glute as well, and the tension will kind of move backwards and forwards. It's really great just to lengthen that spine. So let's just do 2 more just so you can kind of see what we do. So deep breath in, lengthen up, we roll down. So this time I'm going to go a little bit further, and we rock back. Deep breath in, rock back. Let's add a little bit more tension. We're going to go around the clock. Let's just turn slightly, so we're just adding some more tension to the hip. And we're doing the same thing again. So we're going to go breathe in, breathe out, stretch up, come down. And if you want to do this as more of a warm-up sequence before your workout, you can actually speed this up so you can do a little bit more of a quick wave. We could do a little bit more of a slow wave if we're just doing a restorative. You just stay in that stretch and just roll back up slightly. Or if you're just doing a jump sequence, you can just do it mid-speed, let's say. So let's just do a little bit more of a wind up. As we come around, we're just adding a little bit more tension to that hip. So you feel a little bit deeper stretch. You're going to be cramping then. Obviously just lay off the tension a little bit. Just come back to as far as you can go. And if you're like me and you have a little bit of tension in your hips anyway as a normal part, then just go as far as you can go. So again, starting a little bit of a wind up with the hip tension, taking a nice deep breath in, tool, wave out. We're going to spend a little bit longer in this position. And again, you want to make sure that this is a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of stretch awareness, I should say, and then no pain. Rocking back, nice tall position, stretching out as we hit that kind of stretch. So again, I did with this one, nice stretch wave, nice lengthening the spine, stretching out our glutes, our hips, and we're pinning that leg down to the floor. So ideally we want to be able to hold this position if we can. Now from here, there's a couple of things we can do. We're going to just go straight through our normal sequence, but you could always skip to what we'll do later, which I'll mention when we get there, which is our shin box position. So just get into a position where you can come down comfortably onto your elbow from this side position, and all we're going to do is we're just going to reach up and over, driving our arm as far as we can, stretching over our head, but also trying to get as far away as we can from the hip. And then once we're in this position, we're just going to lift up slightly, feel that stretch, nice deep breath in. And we're going to add a little bit of rotation. So we're going to come underneath this time. So we're going to stretch underneath, turning our body down. We're just going to follow our hand upwards. And that's just going to add a little bit of rotation through the spine as well. And if you get any crunches or clicks, hopefully that's good. Take a deep breath in. Rotating up, feeling that stretch. Pushing that knee into the ground, pushing that foot on this long leg down to the ground, keeping that 90-90 position. So we fold that arm over, it's a nice restorative stretch. So again, always moving with our breath. So deep breath in, and breathe out. Just following that hand all the way up. So let's stretch out and over again, see if that position's improved. And let's just wind the arm around, and you can go forward and back. We can follow the arm around if we want to. Stretching over the top, see if that improves. And you can go as long or as short as you need to. We'll try and spend about the same amount of time on each side. But before we do, let's just rock onto that back shoulder, just to stretch from this position, pushing into the ground. And let's see if we can look over our shoulder towards our foot. See if that does anything for us. As we push into our hand that's in the ground, look over our shoulder and rock backwards and forwards. Okay, so let's just check in. Let's see where we're at. Let's see if there's any improvement. There's a little bit of improvement for me on my right hand side actually. Let's do our left leg now. So we're going to repeat the same process again. So pick a position which works for you. I'm a little bit tighter on this side myself. So we'll try and go around all positions like we did before. Again, nice tall position. Pick a point over your knee. Support yourself either side of the leg. Nice deep breath in. Stretch up as tall as you can. And rocking forward and backwards. Deep breath in. Rocking back. We're going to do 4 more, okay? So rocking back. Stretching down and back. Let's do a longer one. Let's stretch right over this time. Stretch, 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 stretch. And back. Let's just do 2 more. Deep breath in. And down. And let's just walk our hands around to a new position again, just adding a little bit of tension in that hip. And let's see if we can add a little bit more range. So nice deep breath in. And we breathe out, we come down. And if you get any small spots where you feel a little bit too much tension, you can even do a little bit of a smaller wave, which I'll show you in a second. So nice deep breath in. And down. And again, you got anywhere that's particularly tight, you come down to that position and do a little small wave, which I know looks a little bit silly, but bear with me. This really helps to just loosen up those hips. And let's do a walk around again to a 3rd position. You can split this into as many segments as you need to, depending on your position. There's no race to the finish. You want to make sure that you have enough time to get around and explore all the angles. So deep breath in. Breathe out. Let's do 1 more. Nice reach as far as you can. And down. Okay? So again, feel free to come back and review this afterwards if you want to, just so you can work in all the elements that we're working on right now. Next thing we're going to do is come down to our elbow, because we're in that right position, and shuffle across just so you can see me a little bit more. For this position, we're just going to reach over. Let's just do an assessment of where we're at. Excuse my top lifting. Excuse me. And we're just going to reach. And we're going to try and get this arm as far away from this hip as we can right now, as we're pushing this knee into the ground, pushing this knee into the ground just to stay stable. We should reach, and we're just going to come around. Now, we're adding that rotation that we did in earlier, so we're actually going to rotate under. So nice deep breath in, and we're rotating up with deep breath in, rotating up. Maybe clumps and pops. Again, hopefully that's good. That's not our intention, but sometimes it's okay to feel that. It's just our body shifting, our fascia unwinding, our muscle tissue stretching, and we're just adding some rotation, some movement back into this body. So nice deep breath in, pull this hand out. So let's reach across again. Let's see if that's improved as we come around. We're just going to follow it around to explore that range of motion of the shoulder. We stretch off that hip. As you get nice and long, you'll probably find a little bit of a stretch through the side of that hip, which is really difficult to stretch. If we get nice and if we get tight through here, it often spreads into that leg as well. So let's just come up. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier. We're just going to push this hand into the floor. We're going to look across our shoulder. We're going to feel a little bit of stretch on the front. Feel a little bit of stability building in the shoulder. We should see if we can see our foot. So this back foot back here. Push into the floor. Let's see what we feel. Okay, awesome. So let's come around. Let's see how we did. Let's see if there's an improvement in the range. A little bit better. Feeling nice and strong. So now we're actually going to come into a little bit of a shin box exercise, which you can build from that start position earlier where we're in this 90-90. We can actually transition from this place here, so we can transition from this position. So again, a little bit more advanced. You can use something to stabilize yourself, like a chair or like a yoga block in front or a foam roller. That also works well because you can stabilize yourself in this position. If you don't need it, that's okay too, because all we're going to do is we're just going to rock up, and what this is going to do is help us to add some rotation of the hip. So as you get to this top position, just pushing your hip forward. We're just pushing that hip forward, just trying to get that hip to open up. This movement works really well because any rotation you get at the femoral head actually helps to lubricate the joint. So again, transferring around, let's come to our other position. We're just going to do 3 or 4 pumps on each side. So let's just come up and down, a little bit tighter on that side, some rotation. And I'm just going to stay at the top, so I'm a little bit tighter there. And we're just going to come down. And again, if you need the stability, you can always use the foam roller. It's the process of bringing this hip back and all the way forward, which is going to help to really roll that femoral head and the acetabulum and just lubricate the joint, which works really well. So again, comes down, come back up again, just to get some rotation. Okay, so you can do that 3 or 4 times, or maybe more if you need it. But again, it's this hip hinge that works really well in different ranges of motion, internal and external rotated leg, which is really going to help to open up that hip joint for those that get a little bit stuck. So next thing we're going to do a little bit of a goalie stretch kind of sequence, which works really well at doing the same thing from a slightly more stable position for some people. So it's just a good introduction to the stretch. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to come into one leg, and we're just going to add some rocking, where we transfer our weight forward and backwards. Just going to add a slight stretch on the front. We're just going to try to get that stretch all the way through by adding a little bit of a stretch up. So as you rock forward, let's just bring our arm up. This is going to stretch all the way through the front of our body, all the way to the top. And again, if you need to add something underneath the knee, because obviously the floor can be a little bit hard, unless you've got carpet or gym matting, feel free to add a yoga block or a foam mat just to support your knee. So we're just going to work around. As you get to this side, just put some weight onto the front just to get a little bit of a deeper stretch, and you'll feel it through the back leg and the front leg as we get that hip opened up. So we're just walking our foot around slowly, just exploring all the angles between 12 and 9 on the clock. Just trying to get that hip to really loosen up, the adductors to open, just to explore that range, because that's another area where we have a lot of potential. So as you get to this 9 o'clock position, so we've gone all the way around the clock from 12 to 9, we're now going to transition to more of a classic kind of goalie stretch in this position, or goaltender stretch. So I'm just going to turn so you can see this way, and we're coming into more of like a frog or a semi-frog position, where we rock back, and the idea is we're trying to get our adductors to rotate a little bit, to get unglued and unstuck, and to see if we can get some more rotation of that hip, because that's really lacking. If you sit a lot on a chair all day, this is where you really get stuck. So you can put your foot flat if you can, and really feel that stretch as it works its way down the leg as you flatten that foot off. So I'll just bring my leg back so you can see. Flatten that foot off. From this position, we can also, if you can, lift your foot. We can even push that foot into the floor now after that, and see if that adds any more of a stretch into that position as we rock backwards and forwards. And now bring your hands all the way forward, and let's rock all the way onto our hands. So we're rocking all the way forward, trying to get a little bit more of an end range rotation of that hip. So let's come back onto our knees. Let's start the other side now. So we're going to work all the angles around from 12 to 3 o'clock. Obviously, if it's mirrored, it might be different, maybe 12 to 9. But same thing applies. We're going to, as we rock forward, we're just bringing our arm up, just to see if we can add a little bit more of a dynamic stretch. Just going to come forward onto that front leg, so breathing out. It's also good to open up that lateral line of your body, and we could even lean a little bit if you want to open up a little bit more of that hip at the end range. So leaning a little bit now as well. Okay, so now we're just going to work around a little bit, just around the clock, just to see if we can open up that hip. Again, focusing on the adductors, really get stuck. If you can't internally, externally rotate your leg, this is a really great way of just getting some distance and opening up the hips. So we're just working the way around. So keep it dynamic on this one, rocking the weight forward. If you need to place a little bit of support in your leg, feel free to do that. And we're just going to walk around until about 3 o'clock this time. Okay? So from this position, when you're ready, let's transition. Just move across a little bit so you can see me. Here we go. Transition our weight so we can rock backwards and forwards. Don't worry about putting your foot flat for now. We're just gonna rock forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. And let's just flatten our foot off this time as we rock forwards and backwards. And let's add something else in. Let's add a little bit of rotation to the foot. So if you can, you're going to turn your toe up to the ceiling. This is kind of a little bit more advanced. So as you rock back, let's just turn that toe up to the ceiling. So again, I'll walk across just so you can see. So as we rock back, we're turning that toe up. You get that feeling to really rotate. So rotating it externally. Excellent. So good check-in for this would be, and you can use this as your start point, to see if you can rock back or forward a little bit further onto your haunches and see how that feels. Okay, so let's do our check-in again. Always want to make sure we have the feedback just to see how we go on. So we're just going to rotate inwards and outwards. So So definitely a lot better. So that's actually really, really, really good. A lot better. So for those of you that have something like a TRX or have, let's say, well, you could even use a door frame. I'm going to add another little exercise in for you as a bonus if we have a little bit of time. And that's a Cossack squat, but again, a little bit more advanced. So for some of you, it might just be sitting in a squat, but I have a TRX. So all we're going to do with this one, again, feel free to use a door frame for this, is we're going to come into a nice wide position, and we're going to rock into a focused hip stretch on one side. So again, support the weight either with a door frame or a TRX, just coming into a position where you can get your knee open and slightly past the outside of your foot, and you want to be able to get a little bit of a stretch on the leg that's straight, and then we're just going to rock up and down and do the same thing on the other side. Again, we're just turning this foot upwards, feeling that stretch on the inside of our hip. A really great way of just getting a little bit of mobility in the hips. And we're just going to transfer the weight to the other side. Again, if you feel the clips and pops, that's okay. Again, we're just getting this hip to open up a little bit. We can even add a little bit of upward pressure on the knee. Now, if you were to apply this to a dual frame, you could just come into a little bit of a squat, just holding the dual frame at the bottom, and you can apply the same rules, just internally, externally rotating your hips, just to get that to open up a little bit. Because at the end of the day, we want to explore ranges that we've lost, to gain ranges and get strong in those positions. So, I'm just going to turn the comments on and see if we have any questions, feedback, if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Really enjoy teaching you on a regular basis. It's been great to have a couple of extra sessions this week. Obviously, we're back again on Monday at 11:30. That's Monday 11:30, and the same thing every week. Hopefully be able to add a few new classes with a few new features in the new year. Probably a TRX class or two, so if you're interested in that, we can add that for you too. So again, any comments, any feedback, feel free to reach out to me directly. Fascial Stretch Simon on Instagram. Again, Simon from the personal training team, lovely to see you. And yeah, have a great week this week, and happy Boxing Day to everyone, and see you soon.